Okay, you should be good now.
Thank you.
Oh, hi. Hey, welcome back to Bod BBQ. Today we're going to be making pulled pork nachos. Now normally a pulled pork takes all day out on your smoker to cook low and slow. Today we're going to be doing a hybrid method so we can get it done much quicker. This is the way I like to cook at home. I don't like to spend all day barbecuing if I don't have to. Some things do require that long cook, like brisket and beef ribs and things like that. But this cook, we're gonna finish it off in the Instant Pot. So we're gonna do the whole cook in just a few hours. Let's get started. So as you can see, the first thing that I did was trim down this pork butt, and I have some clips of that. What I did was, I took this pork butt with the fat side down, and I started to trim away some of the sinew and some of the fat that we don't want on there. It's a pretty simple process. Anything that you see that you're probably not going to want to eat, go ahead and get rid of. You can see here I'm just blotting off a lot of the moisture that we have. Now when I rolled it over, I took off the entire fat cap. Sometimes when you're doing traditional barbecue, you want to leave that fat cap on there. It can act as an insulator to the heat. It can also act as additional flavor. Some of that fat can seep down into the meat. But pulled pork is such a marbled piece of meat, I don't worry too much about that additional fat or additional moisture. And this is about an 8-pound bone-in pork roast. It's a pork shoulder, and it's also known as a Boston butt. And we have another video, I'll link that up here. We have another video where we did just a traditional barbecue cook. We're gonna be doing something very similar today with the intent that we're gonna do nachos and maybe a few tacos afterward. And this one's to show that you can do this very quickly as opposed to an 8 to 10 hour cook. So you can see here, I'm just blotting off a lot of the additional moisture. This brining solution, you don't want to drink this. Definitely throw that out. So the brine that I used is this Cattleman's Grill Butcher House brine. It's good for everything. It's an all-around, really easy brine. So it's probably closer to 4 quarts of water because I was using the small version of the Easy Drip briner bucket. I added 1 cup of the Butcher House brine to those 4 quarts of the water that I put into that container. And I left it overnight for about 13 hours or so. So it's got a lot of good brine in here. You want to make sure that you're not over brining because a lot of these vacuum sealed packages are going to have a brine solution in them just to keep the meat juicy. So our intent here is we're looking to do barbecue on a budget. With how expensive meat is getting and all other vegetables and groceries for that matter, everything is getting more expensive. We're looking for ways to maybe pinch a few pennies and do barbecue a lot cheaper than we would if we were doing a big Wagyu brisket or something like that. This pork shoulder comes in at about $1.90 a pound here in Arizona. I know other places it's a little more expensive, other places it's a little cheaper, but I think that that's a pretty good bargain. I got this entire 8-pound pork butt for exactly $16 actually, and I trimmed off maybe a half a pound of fat, if that. And so you can see you yield a lot of meat for a very low cost. So that's why we're trying to do this. And this is going to be a whole series. We're going to do barbecue on a budget for many different cooks. So stay tuned for that. So the next step is just use whatever barbecue rub that you like. I mean, you can use a Mexican type blend since we're going to be doing nachos and tacos with this, but I like the barbecue taste on these nachos. So I'm sticking with this Hardcore Carnivore Red, which is a really nice all-purpose, well, not all-purpose. This is a really nice pork and chicken seasoning, and I'm gonna do a pretty good layer on the pork. If you notice, I'm not adding a binder because we already have that brine on there that's going to allow this to stick. It's still a little damp. Now, if you do want to add a binder, you can go ahead and put yellow mustard, Dijon mustard, honey mustard, vinegar, you name it, whatever you want. This is a big hunk of meat too, so you're gonna need a lot of flavoring on the outside here. If you notice, I'm loading it up pretty good with this seasoning. And I'm adding an additional seasoning. Make sure you get all the different sides. The second seasoning is one that we use a lot around here, and that's the Meat Church Honey Hog. And it is an absolutely incredible top layer for this. It has that powdered honey in there and a little bit of seasonings and sugar. Just gonna go ahead and press that in. All right, same thing with the other side. Just a nice layer. And of course, add that honey hog on there. And you can tell I go pretty heavy with this one. It sinks right in there. And I love the taste of this, especially on pork, chicken, anything but beef really. It's got that beautiful, sweeter taste to it. And you can see how quickly that absorbs in there. See how it went from tan to mahogany so quickly? All right. And honestly, that's all the prep I want to do with this. This meat now is going to sit out here for about 15 to 20 minutes while we get our smoker rolling. And I'm going to be cooking this out on the Kamado style grill. And we're going to be adding a few chunks of cherry wood and hickory wood because that's perfect for pork. I'm going to let this sweat out. You can see it's already starting to exude a little bit here just within a minute or two. It's just incredible barbecue rub. So I'm going to allow this to sit while that smoker comes up to temp. All right, so as you can see here, we got our coals nice and hot. And they are stabilizing as we speak. I'm putting in a few small chunks of cherry wood. And right in the middle, I'm going to put a chunk of hickory. And then another one right over here. Might be a little overdoing it with the wood, but we're only doing a short cook on this. Then I'm going to be putting in my diffuser plate. And then the rack right on top. Close it down and even out the temps to about 275 to 300. Okay, so this grill has come up to temp about 275. Between 275 and 300 is perfect. You can see this pork butt has absolutely sweated out. I'm gonna go ahead and burp my smoker and get this on. All right. And now it's just keeping that temperature level until it reaches about 165 degrees. Okay, one last thing I want to do is in this thickest part of the butt, I want to get my temp probe right into about there, right into the meatiest part. All right, let's give it time to smoke. Okay, so as you can see here, we got this beautiful 8-pound pork butt off of the smoker. I smoked it for about 3 hours. It came up to 160 degrees, right in the deepest part of that muscle, and we're gonna put it here into our Instant Pot. This is a little different from the way normal traditional barbecue is done, but if you think about it, when you wrap something up and you cook it for a long amount of time, this is the same as putting it in a crock pot and slow cooking it, or putting it in this Instant Pot and pressure cooking it so you can have dinner quicker. First thing I'm gonna do, I have a half cup of chicken broth here. I'm gonna put this into my Instant Pot just for a little flavor base, but also so that we don't get a burn warning on the Instant Pot. Anybody that's used an Instant Pot in the past knows if you have things stuck to the bottom, it's going to say burn and it's not going to allow you to pressurize the cook. I also have a half cup of apple cider vinegar here. I'm gonna be adding that in as well. Now to the top of that, I'm gonna take this whole pork butt. You can cut this into pieces if you want. I'm just doing the whole thing right in here. And you can see a whole 8-pound pork butt fits right in. Don't scrimp on the juices. Get all those juices in there too. It's all flavor, every little bit of it. Awesome. And then the last step, I have about 1/3 of a cup of barbecue sauce here. This is just some it's some store-bought barbecue sauce for chicken and ribs, and it's got a nice savory flavor to it, so I'm using that just to kind of coat the top and have that braise down into the meat. And that's what we're going to be doing here. We're pressure cooking and we're braising. So for those of you who haven't used an Instant Pot, here's a really quick lesson. You put the lid on, step one. Make sure that you are not venting, which is the little button on top. So if it's pressed down, it's venting. You want to make sure it's released so it's not venting. Eventually, once it builds pressure, this little pin will pop up and then you won't be able to remove the lid anymore. Okay, now let's get it started. We're just gonna hit pressure cook. It's already set to 1 hour and we hit start. It's literally that simple. This is the easiest pressure cooker in the world to use. If you don't own an Instant Pot, I highly suggest, or any of these types of newer pressure cookers that have all these settings and things. Ninja makes them, and Instant Pot, and all these. Cuisinart has one. Pick one up. They are incredible. We make weekly dinners that would normally be a 3-hour cook, in about 30 to 45 minutes to an hour sometimes. It's just incredible how quickly you can get delicious food out of it. Today, we're trying to do our barbecue in here. We already have the smoke on it. We have the seasonings on it. We put that base down on the bottom here to really braise this pork butt in the liquids, and it's gonna be amazing pulled pork when we're done. What we're gonna do once this is done and it runs through its 16 minutes and has that 15-minute purge is pull the pork butt out of here, shred it up for pulled pork. We're gonna put it on some chips and make nachos out of it. And then we'll pull some over to the side and make some tacos out of it too. This meat can be used for a million different things. It's absolutely delicious. So let's see what happens when it comes out of here. Hopefully it'll shred up nice. Okay, so our Instant Pot has finished cooking. We gave it that 15 minutes additional time so that it could slow release all the pressure. Let's take a look at what we have in here. Oh yeah. All right, first and foremost, check this out. There's the bone, totally clean. Oh, I'm getting nice fresh skin. Exactly as predicted, the bone is totally clean. Let me get this out of here and into a pan. Whew, that is warm. So I'm gonna leave the juice in there for now, and I'm gonna shred this up. This is pretty much how easy it is to shred up when it's in this state. Just push it. Now, I do not suggest doing this with bare hands at all. These are nitrile heavy ply gloves, and I have these cotton inserts underneath, so they're insulated. And you absolutely need that right now because this stuff is roasting hot, as you can see by all the steam. I'm gonna give it a couple minutes just to chill out. We're going to shred this down a little bit more, add some of that juice back in and incorporate it, and then we'll build our nachos. This looks fucking awesome for a fucking Instant Pot. Okay, so we got this pork all shredded up. It was super easy. I just had those nitrile gloves and those cotton inserts and I just ripped it apart. It came apart like nothing. It's so super tender. I'm telling you, this is a great way to save hours on a cook. We got the Super Bowl on today, so we wanted to be able to eat during the game, and this is the way that we did it. I'm gonna assemble these nachos now. As you can see, I've got some nice thick tortilla chips that are laid out here. We got the rounds. I'm gonna add some of this pork. I'm just gonna kinda sprinkle it on here and be generous with it, but not too crazy. We want to be able to pick up these nachos. And this pork has cooled down just enough to where it doesn't burn my hand. By the way, I tried some of this pork. It is out of this world, absolutely delicious. When we're just cooking around the house, I might just do this for the second half of the cook from now on. Save myself a whole bunch of hours of cooking and monitoring and all that. All right, that is a good start. Don't want to neglect any of our friends down here. Okay, that looks good for the meat. And the other two components I'm going to put on right now are a little bit of beans on one side. Not too many because there's some folks that didn't want any black beans. So I'm just going to kind of put a few scattered out here. Okay. And then I've got some Colby Jack cheese that's perfect for this. It's just going to melt right in. It's got the meltiness of the Monterey Jack, and the Colby brings that flavor. Just absolutely delicious. You can shred your own. I just got a package of, shredded Colby Jack here. And I'm going to add a pretty generous layer. You want this cheese to melt down and hold all the meat and the beans on there. All the other condiments will come after. So as you can see here, I have a sheet pan with this whole layer with the meat and the beans and about 8 ounces, not about, exactly 8 ounces of that Colby Jack cheese. I've got my oven fired up and it's on the broil setting on high. We're going to put these under the broiler and we're just gonna watch it. We're gonna stand by and monitor it, and all we wanna see is that that cheese melts down. The meat is still nice and warm. The beans are uncooked, but that's okay. They're just beans. So I'm gonna put these in right here. And I'm gonna stand by and monitor this, and when it's all melty, I'm gonna bring it up on the counter here, and we're gonna add the rest of the condiments and try it out. All right, it's been in there about 30 seconds. Let's take a peek. We are getting there just a little bit more. Some of the cheese that's underneath isn't quite melted yet. I'm thinking 15 to 20 seconds max, and we're gonna be able to pull these out and add the rest of our ingredients. Congrediments. I swear. Oh yeah, we are done. So this is what you wanna see. Little bit of golding on there. You got a little browning. Nice and melted, still cheesy and pull apart goodness. Absolutely awesome. Now what I'm gonna add to this, of course I made some red pickled onions. These are incredible. This one, I did such a simple recipe. I actually used the microwave. I did a half a cup of apple cider vinegar, half a cup of water, and then a few spices, some herbe de Provence and coriander seed and celery seed and some black peppercorns, and then a little bit of onion powder. And I boiled that down in the microwave, poured it in on my thinly sliced red onions, and I let it cool down a little bit, shook it up, and it's been in the refrigerator for maybe 4 hours. And look at how awesome these look. These are flavor bombs. Definitely do these. I didn't plan to explain all that. I'm out of breath now. Oh yeah. These are so good. They're almost sweet. Okay, and since not everyone likes everything, I'm going to only put some ingredients on different parts of these nachos. So that half got the red pickled onions. I'm gonna add just a few olives here, kind of sparsely sprinkle them out. Doink, doink, whoopsie. And these are just sliced black olives. Nothing too major. Nice little surprise in there though. And then I have delicious pico de gallo. Check out the recipe we have for pico. So the pico is gonna go pretty nicely scattered across. And this has white onion, some tomatoes, some cilantro, a little bit of lime juice. Just brightens up the whole day. Now you can put barbecue sauce on here if you really want barbecue nachos. We're looking for more like a hybrid nacho. We have that barbecue pork, but we're still looking for regular Mexican style nachos. So I'm not gonna go too crazy with it. The last couple of things is just a little additional cilantro for that pop of color. This is just roughly chopped cilantro. Boom. And then a little sour cream. We have some guacamole here to put on there as well. You can put our avocado cilantro lime dip. I'll put a link up here in the on the tag there. Check that video out. And of course, people can put whatever they want on here. Boom. Okay. So there we have it. A big ass plate of delicious nachos. Let's try it out. I'm gonna get one with everything on it, so I need to dig here. Oh yeah, this is mine right here. I want some of those pickled onions though. This has the meat, the cheese. Phenomenal. These are absolutely awesome. Oh, all the flavors are working together. Those red onions really pop. The pico in there and that cilantro really brighten everything up. The meat is perfect for this. It's absolutely succulent. We got the sour cream in there just to cool things out. You could put hot sauce on here. You can do whatever you want with it. This is a winner, absolutely. And we did it in about 4 hours, start to finish. Absolutely incredible. Definitely try this one out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I promise, if you try this one out and you like all these ingredients already, you're gonna love this one. Super easy. Give it a try. Awesome. Talk to you later.